אנחנו אסירים בעזה שרוצים לספר לכם על המצב שלנו. ואנחנו גם רוצים שתדעו שאת המילים האלו לא החמאס ביקש מאיתנו לומר. ולא, זה לא סרטון שהמטרה שלו זה לוחמה פסיכולוגית, אלא זה אנחנו שביקשנו והתחננו להשמיע את הקול שלנו. אז אנא מכם, תשמעו אותו. עד לפני העסקה האחרונה, עד לפני ה-19 לינואר, כשהמעברים היו סגורים לכל אורך המלחמה, המצב היה מאוד קשה. כמעט לא היה אוכל, ולא היה לנו מקום בטוח להיות בו, והתנאים היו קשים למחיה. והכי גרוע זה שלא ידענו אם נחיה או נמות. כשהעסקה החלה ונפתחו המעברים לסיוע מינימלי ואוכל, חיילי החמאס החלו לדאוג לנו למה שאנחנו צריכים ולמה שאנחנו מבקשים, והאכילו אותנו, ולא רק בשביל שנחיה, אלא גם כשנרגיש טוב יותר. ממש הרגשנו שהאור קרב, ראינו את האור, התחלנו לנשום, האמנו שכל זה הולך ולהיגמר. ודווקא אז, כשהסוף קרב, קיבלנו את המכה הקשה מכל. ב-18 למרץ, ממשלת ישראל החליטה לתקוף אווירית את הרצועה. מתקפה שכמעט הביאה לסוף שלנו. אני יודע שהם מספרים לכם שהם מתכוונים להחזיר אותנו הבית, אבל שתדעו שאותה מתקפה של אתמול, זה היה הרגע הקרוב ביותר לסיום שלי ושל החברים שלי. ראינו את המוות מול העיניים. וכרגע, לאחר המתקפה, שהמעברים סגורים, הכל חוזר לקדמותו. האוכל עומד להיגמר, התנאים מתחילים להיות קשים, ואין לנו אף מקום בטוח להיות בו.
Greetings, one and all. Super Tuesdays here in the Holy Land, in the Holy City, Elon Moreshchem, right next to my holy yeshiva. We are on the 25th day of the 12th month of the year, Adar 5785. As always, the class is for the sake of heaven, to improve ourselves, one little step, to move ourselves 1 inch, to remove the divine presence from the exile. With that said, always gratitude to our super channel, Mike, and all the great volunteers with all their super unbelievable work all over the land of Israel. Honored to be on your channel. And as always, to the greatest blog, Tomer Devorah, Palm Tree of Deborah, one word, .com. Check it out whether you have time or you don't have time. Today, such an important topic that I've been fortunate to receive from above. Weaponizing the hostages. This is an issue that is understandably not easy to deal with. Unfortunately, we've seen an entire camp, what they call the right-wing camp, silenced. All of its forces not brought out into the public square, into the public eye, to protest what has been going on with the form of the missing families and hostages and their pressure against Israel. The fact that they did not bring the public, they did not involve the public to try to stop the effort by the forum into this capitulation, into this existential threat that we are in the midst, will never be forgotten, forgiven. Okay, a preface. Let's get something straight. One more thing. It's very important. This will, God willing, be 2 parts. Very important to listen, especially. You have to listen to all of it. It's very important. But just the bottom lines, the law, the Jewish law bottom lines. Please listen the end of the second part. Everyone feels the pain and the tragedy of the hostages. Everyone feels their dire straits, suffering. Words cannot express the hell that they are living through. In fact, our Talmud in the tractate of Baba Batra, page 8, side A, specifically says an amazing line, so true, that captivity is the harshest predicament because it includes all types of suffering. Person goes through an issue, they have one or two issues that they're suffering, but captivity is a grand slam of it all together. Everyone prays for them to be released unharmed and as quickly as possible. Masses add religious observance, adding Torah study, daily Torah study, adding commandments, fasting, abstention from a variety of worldly material pleasures, all for the speedy release, safe release of our dear hostages. With all the love, concern, and sorrow for their tragic plight, this class has come, and its time has come to clarify various points. All those protesting and flexing their muscles from the forum. Once again, in the class, whenever I say the forum, please know we're talking about the missing family and hostage forum. So I'm just going to say it in one word, the forum. Flexing of their muscles against an entire country here in Israel. Know that if Israel would have responded after Simchat Torah, after October 7th massacre, where 1,400 Jews were murdered in one day, the most since the Holocaust, if we would have done what our Holy Torah tells us, and right away, the next day, the issue would have been solved. If Israel, the next day, October 8th, would have surrounded Gaza, cut off all aid, food, gasoline, energy, water, and explained to the Gaza inhabitants, anybody that's interested in eating or having something to drink, come out with a hostage and you'll be greeted with food and water. If this was done, of course, not all of the 255 hostages would have remained alive. But how can you compare? It's nothing to what's going on. And the numbers today. Instead of doing this, Israel declared war on Gaza with one hand, and with the other hand, fed the enemy so they could continue fighting. There's an amazing out-of-the-ballpark statement in the Talmud, in the tractate of Sanhedrin, page 95, side A. If a person, how much more so a state, a country, delays justice, most of the time, justice will be lost. How true. What a saying. The world was astonished, was amazed, was shocked. We had a grace period of a week, of 10 days. The world would not have said anything. And to never miss an opportunity, boy, did we mess up. We lost this grace period to annihilate our enemies and to free the majority of the hostages alive. So let's not talk about who wants the release of the hostages more or less, God forbid. The hostage movement has given the Hamas its biggest victory ever. The yellow ribbons we're all familiar with, the pins, the yellow flags, pictures of the hostages all over every single major city intersection. A new entity, the hostage square in Tel Aviv. The banners yelling, "Bring them home now. A deal now." Notice, very interesting, all of the pressure on Israel, none of the pressure on the criminals. Let them go now. No. Bring them home now. You, Israel. Deal now, Israel. All of this whole campaign contributed to bringing Israel towards the threshold of destruction, God forbid. These groups, these individuals have put the saving of 255 hostages over the essential threat of the Jewish nation. In an unbelievable interview recently, with a Jew named forgot his name. He was interviewed It will come back to me. He's interviewed by a leftist reporter named Ilana Dayan. The interviewer, Ilana, explained to the recently released hostage that he should know that he's returned to Israel, but it's a very different Israel than he knew when before he was captured. And the Eli Sharabi, that's his name. And Eli turned to the reporter and said, "Is it a better Israel?" And then the reporter, a favorite of the New Israel Fund, so you already understand where she's coming from, freezes in silence to the question, is it a better Israel? Freezes. This is beyond belief. Hundreds of thousands of Jews worldwide, perhaps millions, contributing funds, money, equipment, clothing, winter clothing, army vests, giving of their time, of their talents for the success of the war and for the success of the release of the hostages. Hundreds of thousands of Jews adding daily Torah learning to their already busy schedule, adding fulfillments of commandments, observing the Sabbath, though people were not religious, fasting, abstaining from worldly pleasures. And the reporter silenced. She does not have an answer. Apparently her answer is that, no, you've come to a country that is a lot worse. There is no greater lie. This chutzpah of this reporter. The Jewish people, over the past year and a half, are on a much higher level than before. No comparison. Disgusting. The forum and many families of the missing hostages have bombarded Israel with psychological warfare, emotional warfare. Woe to individuals, woe to groups, leaders, military personnel that do not toe the line. Demoralizing all that dissent. Even family members who have relatives, sons, daughters, in captivity, who think differently. An amazing recent interview with Tzvi, called Tzvika Moore, who has a son. If I'm not mistaken, his name is Eitan, who's a hostage. Listen to his words on Channel 7. The form for the hostages do not allow dissenting opinions from families to be heard. 2, families are afraid to say what they believe publicly. Families that have a dissenting opinion receive daily dozens of curses, insults on their Twitter and WhatsApp account. On Channel 13 in Israel, a mother of a hostage, a male hostage, Ditsa Or, was interviewed. The broadcaster turned to her. Once again, her son in captivity for 16 months. The broadcaster looks at her and said, "I wouldn't want to be your son." Tzvika Moore on Channel 7 continued. People accuse me of loving death, of not caring about my son. These are daily, hundreds of daily threats, insults, curses to Mr. Moore. And a newscaster, also from Channel 13, tops it all off. Tzvika, you have another 7 kids at home, so you don't really care about another son, your 8th one. In a recent interview with member of Knesset, member of Parliament, Tzvi Sukkot, in the magazine called Shivi'i, the 7th. Listen to his words. Mind-boggling. What is going on, not only in Israel, but worldwide. The Organization for the Release of Hostages has turned the Israeli parliament into their center for pressuring politicians to surrender to the Hamas. Pictures were hung, still there, all over the building. Slideshows screened all over the walls of the Israeli parliament government, the Knesset. Members of the hostage organization, the forum, opened every session of the Knesset. Every session they opened the session with a speech urging the government to capitulate to Hamas at all costs. Many of the Knesset members, the parliament members, were yelled at and demoralized in the halls of the building in public, trying to break them. Their campaign succeeded in creating a lawless society where murderers of Jews spend less time in prison than car thieves. Listen to that a few times. When Member of Parliament Tzvi Sukkot was asked by reporters, why didn't you pass the bill for the death penalty for Arab terrorists? This would solve allowing Arab terrorist prisoners to go. There would be no Arab terrorist prisoners. Tzvi replied, the families of the hostages broke into that meeting when the subject was to be discussed, and did not allow this issue to be discussed. In their words, it was harming the hostages. He closes the interview in the Shvi magazine. We are in a period of time in our history where we have lost our mind. hostage families urged the U.S. and other countries to pressure Israel to reach a deal with Hamas. Hostage and missing family form appeal to countries with citizens in Hamas captivity to pressure Israel. These groups represent bringing our loved ones home by any means through all available channels, including as part of negotiations for a ceasefire or a complete military pullout from Gaza. No limits. Pressure worldwide. The amazing incident with Eli Feldstein. Eli was accused by prosecutors in Israel of damaging Israel's state security by leaking a highly classified internal document seized from Hamas. It was leaked to Germany's Bild newspaper, B-I-L-D. The document outlined the terror group's strategy for surviving the IDF's operation in Gaza by leveraging its hostages in psychological warfare on the Israeli public. The documents proved how the demonstrations for the freedom of the hostages in Israel were aiding and strengthening the Hamas. And this man is arrested for giving out that information. What these demonstrations, not only in Israel, worldwide, are doing. They're giving ammunition to the Islamo-Nazis in Gaza. Check this one out. According to an American news agency called Politico, advisors to the hostage forum receive funding from Qatar. Qatar, the leading country supporting global jihad, supporting all the Iran proxies, supporting the Hamas, the Houthi of Yemen. This is amazing. They incite to kidnap hostages, and then they become the good guys, the mediators, to allow terrorists free and have Israel capitulate for the release of hostages. I highly recommend a recent interview between Steve Witkoff and Tucker Carlson, where they're both in bed together talking about the beauty of Qatar, the leading state-funded jihad, international global war of the jihadists by the Qatarim. To continue on the campaign, the smear campaign. New IDF commanders recently brought into the IDF are torched by the media and the forum for mentioning, listen to this one, for mentioning in their inaugural speeches the defeat, destruction of Hamas first, and then the hostages in that order. So they were torched and demonized for the order. Rabbis are called Nazis for their opposition for the present hostage deal outline. Nazis. Banners in every city, crying and yelling out, freeing the hostages is victory for Israel. Freeing the hostages is victory. Imagine I come to a person and I snatch their cell phone. Now on their cell phone, their entire life, all their bank accounts, it could be that that telephone is worth $500,000, and I snatch it. And person comes to me and says, listen, my whole life is on that phone. Give it back to me. No problem. I'll give it back to you. I made a quick calculation. Your phone is probably worth to you $500,000. So if you give me $800,000, we'll settle and we'll call it a day. Okay? The person goes, whose phone it is, and gives me $800,000. Who won here? He got his phone back, or she got her phone back, right? Who won and who lost? Freeing the hostages, capitulation, stopping the war, freeing terrorists, murderers, rapists, arsonists, Islamo-Nazis. Victory. Henry Kissinger, with a great statement, the conventional army loses if it does not win decisively. The guerrilla wins if it does not lose. An amazing statement. Folks, we have lost big time. A terrorist group running around with flip-flops, with sandals, were able to withstand one of the most powerful army in the entire Middle East. They have won big time. In the painful words of the expert on Islam in Israel, Edith Bar, if you do not take land, property from the Muslims and intimidate them, never to think about attacking you again. It does not matter how many buildings you destroyed. Don't worry, they'll build it real fast and better than before, with all the money coming in from the world. Or how many Hamas terrorists you killed, you lost big time. If you do not take their property, their land, if they're still in power, if they still have their land, if they are not intimidated by you. Just today, 2 or 3 missiles fired from Gaza into Israel. Gaza's Israel, another part of Israel. add to the above. If that's not bad enough that we've lost, add to it a ceasefire, stopping the war, and all these jihadists being released, thousands of them being released back onto the streets of Israel. Is there a question who won and who lost? The media, the forum, create in the last couple of weeks a euphoric atmosphere in Israel, pumping their propaganda over and over again into the minds and souls of the dumbed down population. In the prophetic words of the prophet Isaiah 22:13, instead of crying and lamenting, behold, there is a joy and gladness, eating meat and drinking wine, saying, eat and drink, for tomorrow we will die. What is this celebration about? We're all happy to see Jews freed. But when we understand the price, when we understand the results, there is no room for celebration. It should be done in secrecy, in private. Don't touch that channel. God willing, we will be back next week for our last class before the Passover break for approximately a month. Stay tuned.